Today we're going to talk about mini cuts. So we're going to go over what a mini cut is, why we do mini cuts, and how to execute a mini cut successfully. But before that, let me introduce you guys to Iron Supply Junior. After the gym closed, I decided to keep a couple of items out of sentimental value. So we have our stainless bar, some cheap squat stands, our refurbished adjustable bench, a couple of heavy dumbbells, cast iron plates, some high density mats, and a pair of adjustable dumbbells. Kind of weird because this is all in my bedroom, taking up like half of the space. So I feel like I've regressed back into early 2020, early pandemic time when everybody else was building up their home gyms. But I will be using this space as my sort of like a YouTube studio. So I'll be doing most of my content here, but we'll be doing most of my lifting in a commercial gym. Moving on to today's topic, let's talk about mini cuts. So what is a mini cut? A mini cut would be a short period of time where you're in an aggressive caloric deficit. During a mini cut, you're going to be trying to lose as much weight or as much fat as possible in the shortest amount of time. Now, what is the purpose of a mini cut? If you've been bulking for an extended period of time, you'll know that as you get heavier, obviously you'll gain a little bit more body fat. You're eating more, and then you kind of lose your appetite. You're just going to keep trying to gain weight. It's not really working. And then eventually you start feeling a little bit more sluggish. So that's sort of a good time to throw in a mini cut. Unlike your usual fat loss phases, you come into a mini cut, go on an aggressive deficit, and then you get out. That means you can get right back into your gaining phase, which is great because you don't want to spend too long in a deficit. You don't want to spend too much time not building muscle, especially if you're a competitor. One huge reason why I like to use mini cuts is to bring back my appetite. So after an extended period of time of eating, you kind of get tired of eating. So go on a little bit of a diet, get yourself hungry again, and then you're ready to go back into a gaining phase. You're ready to go back into eating a lot of calories. Another great reason to do a mini cut is that when you're in a gaining phase for a long period of time, you're not really sure how much muscle you've actually built. So going on a mini cut brings you back to a lower body fat level, which allows you to reassess your position in terms of muscle mass, in terms of progress, in terms of how you look at this body weight versus how you looked in that body weight in the past. Now, how can we execute a mini cut successfully? When talking about fat loss phases in general, it's a good idea to follow something like a 4:1 ratio. So let's just say you're going for 4 months in a surplus, follow that up with 1 month in a deficit or in a mini cut. If you're doing, let's say, a 6-month bulk, you can go on, let's just say, a 6-week mini cut. Mini cuts in general will last around 4 to 6 weeks. But if your goal is just, let's just say, to bring back your appetite, you can probably get that done in 3 weeks. If you've gained quite a lot of body fat and you're trying to, aggressively cut that down, I guess you could go closer to the 8-week mark. But in general, the sweet spot there would be 4 to 6 weeks. When we're talking about how aggressive we should be with a mini cut, you can probably go as low as you can or as low as you think you can for that amount of time. But a general rule of thumb here would be to reduce your calories by 30%. If you're starting with 3,000 calories in your off season, you can go right down into 2,100 and you should see significant fat loss. In my case, during the off season, my calories tend to peak at around 3,000 to 3,200, at times 3,400 calories. Do usually end up at around 1,000 to 600 to 1,700 calories, which is significantly below my 30% reduction recommendation. But because I am at a higher level of body fat, I know I'm still recovering well, and I know I'm still taking my training seriously. I'm not really worried about losing any muscle mass, especially since I will only be on those calories for around 4 to 6 weeks. Now, if I were to go through a couple of disadvantages with mini cuts, if you're not used to cutting aggressively or you've never tried a 30% calorie reduction, it can be a little bit difficult to adjust to. You have to consider that what you've been lifting at your peak off-season might be a little bit to maybe significantly more difficult after your mini cut. This will be especially true if you cut most of your calories from carbs. That should be good enough as a brief introduction into mini cuts. But if you find this to be a little bit too basic, a bit too simple, feel free to leave your follow-up questions in the comment section below. And if you learned something from this video, feel free to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.